Go Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
So I didn't know that participating in a tricycle race could do that much to your legs.
My legs are sore.
Mine too are sore, and I do regular leg days, but being on a tricycle changes your experience.
I thought I was in trouble big time because I hate leg day and you're all leg day.
It's my favorite.
That shelf booty. I thought I was in trouble. But as a lot of people who saw the video of us participating in the tricycle race at the Steve Dangle Podcast Night at the Toronto Marlies, as a lot of people noted, your handlebars are way bent.
Well, weren't yours too?
See, mine were too, but as I watched the video replay, my handlebars were bent they were bent into the turn that I had to make.
Oh,
yours
so they bent
were
in your favor.
Away. They bent in my favor, and it was a pretty close race. And you were sick. I'm just saying there should be a re-race.
Well, it's funny.
Just to make it fair.
At the end of the race, Steve looks at me. He's like, "Did you let me win?" I was like, "No, man. You beat me fair and square." And he's like, "Yeah."
I just like winning things because it's so rare.
Well, of course. I mean, and a tricycle race at that. I mean, that's great.
You know what? I thought it was stupid, and then the second I sat down on that bike, I was like, I want to win this thing.
Of course. That could have been the Marleys night. By the way, we'll get to all the NHL news, but we have to tell you some stories from Marleys night first.
Of course.
That might have been the most fun I've ever had at a hockey game.
Oh, it was so fun, even though they lost.
It was
whatever.
Ridiculous fun. So the tricycle race happened because I was buying my first Toronto Marlies jersey. I own like 5 Leafs jerseys now, but Toronto Marlies jerseys are, I didn't have one. So
they're gorgeous too.
Walk up to the vendor, and the vendor says, "Sorry, we're out of the blue, so you have to get the white kind." And I was like, damn, I have never owned a white Maple Leafs or a white Marlies jersey.
It's a cool purchase until you have to wear it out for the first time, and you're like, I'm never wearing this outside of the house ever again.
Because you have to like I ate pizza with that thing on and somehow scraped by, but it's terrifying.
Wow. And because they were out of blue, we were at that kiosk longer than we probably should have been. And a gentleman comes up to us and asks us if we'd like to participate in a promotion.
He goes, "You guys look like big Marlies fans."
And we're like, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was kidding.
Yeah, because it was actually on the board as Steve Dangle Podcast Night at the Marlies. So we're like,
Don't you know who we are?
we did think.
Are you here to see me?
Yeah!
Game off, Scott.
Here to see me night.
That's the line.
Damn. Thank you, Jesse. You're better at being Steve Dangle than I am. Next episode, you should just come in with like a polo and be like, "Hey guys,
I think I'm going to be sexy Steve Dangle for Halloween."
Oh, we found it.
You need to. Steve's having a Halloween party on Friday night, isn't it?
So
please show up to
Steve Dangle.
Please
show up to my own house as me. I did that to Justin Fisher once.
That would be amazing.
I showed up to his house as him.
Did you just burn everybody all night?
I just took all of his clothes and like all his tight-fitting emo clothes and gelled my hair funny. And I was just like, I'm Justin.
Did Justin ever have the blonde streak in his hair?
Oh, I think so.
No, he went full bleach blonde. His entire head.
Yeah, he definitely.
While he jammed out to My Chemical Romance.
Oh yeah, Justin played.
Brand new.
And Coheed and Cambria. Love Coheed and Cambria. Love Coheed and Cambria.
Me too, except I heard it like it was just beaten to death.
Justin Bieber is a top 40 radio station. Or Justin Fisher is a top 40 radio station.
Playing NHL 06, minding my own business. Okay, for the 1,000th time.
Anyway, so we get to this. We're buying this Marlies jersey, or I'm buying this Marlies jersey. Guy comes up, he says, "You guys look like big Marlies fans." Like total game ops guy. He's like super pumped, and he's like perfect for the position.
Yeah, where do you get all this energy?
Wow,
on a Sunday.
I'm so excited for a Sunday afternoon. And then we're like, yeah, and he's like, "You guys want to be in a tricycle race?" Steve and I are like, yeah,
yes,
of course. And then I think didn't he look at you and go, "Hey, you look familiar."
No, he had no idea who we are.
He didn't know.
He just got his job at the Marlies. He just moved here from Saskatchewan, and he had no idea who we are.
That's great.
He had no idea, and all the Marlies people who helped us arrange this wonderful night were like, we didn't arrange that. We didn't mean for you guys to be in the race.
The two Marlies in-game hosts knew us, and I could sort of tell that they thought that we had set this up, and I was like, we didn't really set this up, right? And they're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, we really didn't. It was dumb luck.
It was funny seeing Mike Valente in there, because I forgot he was one of the in-arena hosts. We went to school together for like at least 3 years. I think he was 1 year younger, yeah.
Everyone listening knows who that is. by the way.
He's the Marlies in arena host. I thought that was obvious information, Jesse.
It wasn't. You should have said in arena host Mike Valente.
There you go.
I thought
you just said Mike. He was
Sorry,
just a guy.
okay.
You know, Mike,
let me get more than a quarter way through
everybody
this
went to
coffee.
school with a Mike.
Yeah,
so.
that Mike.
But there was some great moments besides that, which you can see on my Instagram, and it's all over video. And Jesse actually was smart enough to put it up on our YouTube page, so you can check that out. The other
You're
thing,
like a good producer and stuff.
there was some other stuff that happened. I think the first thing that really made me laugh was, Jesse. When Jesse wants to, he can screech.
Yes.
Like he's got a voice that carries, right? So when you call someone out, it's like some guys are like, "Hey, you suck," and then it'll be like Jesse will be like, "Hey, you suck," and you can hear it like across the arena.
I don't know where this is going.
Jesse is huge, but he acts very like small. He's quiet. He's often quiet.
Yeah.
Do I keep it quiet?
He's just quiet.
But like no, but
every now
it's
and
always
then
lit. But you keep it quiet.
Am I gonna get it?
Jordan's. Sorry, we
Don't even
we did
explain
that
it. Just keep
all
going.
night.
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, so Jesse,
No, but every now and then he just we forget that he's a 6'5" adult man who screams.
now we decided that Jake Chelios was the guy. Steve sort of decided that Jake Chelios of the Charlotte Checkers was the guy that we were going to make fun of all night.
I just felt like it.
And so Steve would start calling him out, and then you'd hear this screech, guy, because I sat in the middle of these two guys, and you'd hear the screech from Jesse, Chelios, skate, Chelios, and I'm like, he actually can hear this. Like for sure, he can hear this.
So
the whole arena can hear this.
And it was Chris, by the way.
Oh, it was
That's
Chris,
who
not
was playing.
Jake.
Oh,
Chris
that's
was
right.
playing last.
He's
Yeah.
64 years old.
Yes.
No, when the Checkers scored their empty netter to cement it, and this was right after I was really laying into Chelios, he looked over to our side of the ice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that was directed at me, but
Also, if you've never watched a hockey game with Steve, he likes to call out 10 seconds left in the penalty. And he'll be like, 10 seconds left! 10! As though they will hear you.
No, Steve helps.
I helped. They almost scored because of me. Dick.
Yeah.
It was my doing.
Also, at a certain point, the arena starts, dancing and they show the crowd or whatever. And the camera goes over to our section, and Steve.
Oh yeah.
Steve dumps an entire thing.
It wasn't the whole
entire bucket of popcorn.
It was like
on my head.
Yeah.
I told you it was coming. I go, if the camera comes over to us, I'm dumping the popcorn on your head. And Adam goes, the camera's on us. I go, is it? He goes, yeah, look. And I looked, and I wasn't wearing my glasses, so I just went, oh, look, it is. I dumped the whole. He participated in his own demise. I don't feel bad.
And also, I want to shout out Jesse, because Steve, at one point in the evening, decided that he was going to get a poutine.
Yes.
Oh,
And what kind of poutine was it? It was a
Sausage
poutine, delicious, from Smokes. And Jesse, I think, how did you end up with his change?
So Steve is a very important person.
Of course.
Doesn't have the time to get his own food.
Oh, you got it for him.
So Steve was talking to some fans.
He offered.
And I said, I'll go get your food for you, Mr. Steve. Because you are very busy and don't have the time for that. So I went all the way to the other side of the arena.
I put down my scepter, got into my pocket, and gave him some money.
I stood in line for 40 minutes, and I told them, this is for Steve Dangle. You better make it good. And they said, yes, I know him. And then
Sure hope these are cheese curds.
So I brought back his sausage poutine, and I gave it to him.
The best part, though, was that Steve gave Jesse cash for this, and Jesse did the driest thing I think I've ever seen anyone do. This is the move.
It was very
moves.
dry.
So I think it was like $9 and change. So in Canadian dollars, that's one $5 bill and 4 loonies. And
a couple quarters.
And a couple quarters.
Because it came up to $9.25 or
some
something.
stupid number, yeah.
Round up.
So Jesse's got all this change, and he's like, Steve, I got your change. And Steve's like, great. And Jesse drops all the change and the bill in the poutine.
Shoves all the change into the poutine.
You didn't have any hands. I didn't know where to put it.
So
You're eating.
the first few bites of my poutine tasted like metal, and also the hands of thousands of Canadians.
Yeah.
And
It
then,
could have been that many.
But then
it was
I
a
got
2012 coin. It didn't exist for that long.
Oh, it's only 5 years of Canadians just rubbing their boogery hands all over their money. And then I enjoy it. I get to the bottom, and there's still a quarter in the bottom of the poutine.
And Steve is so rich. He took out the money and threw it on the ground.
Not
and
all of it.
left
He did.
it.
I took the bill.
He left all of the other monies.
No.
It was too cheesy for him to pick up.
I left $1 for the person in front of me who got like at least half of the popcorn that I dumped on Adam stuck in his
Did
hood.
you know that he is from Edmonton and came all the way here from Edmonton?
Oh my God.
Spend time with you?
Yeah. He works up in Fort Mac, and used to work in Fort Mac, now works in Edmonton, is a Leaf fan in Connor McDavid country, came all the way to hang out with you at a Marlies game, and you dump popcorn on his head.
I'm just gonna. When do I just give up on Western Canada? Like when do I just go? They're never gonna like me.
Out west.
Oh, okay. Oh,
He's from here.
I don't know. I think Berkshire secretly hates me, even though he's a Habs fan. He's from out west, so.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
I think if you're from like west of like maybe even London, Ontario, you have to dislike me. I don't know.
I don't know if that's totally the case. That might be a bit of an embellishment.
If you're from west of London, I'm like it's quiet.
You can't get it out there, homeboy. There'd be like one place in the entire country that you could get it, in fact. And that would be this city.
It's all I can think about since that night.
Well,
Yeah.
And funny because literally everybody there, and by the way, if you came, thank you so much.
My God.
There was way
It
more
sold
people.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it?
if you tried to use the promo code past like the end of last week, it wouldn't work because it sold out.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Our boy was telling us.
Harrison with
Our
MLSE.
boy.
I didn't. Our boy H Dog,
Homeboy.
H Dizzy,
Yeah.
HK.
I actually call him Isn't.
Isn't
Yeah.
okay. But everybody there was making the Bella Hadid jokes, which I was like, that's amazing. The other thing I wanted to throw out there is when we did get out on the ice and skate afterwards, which is what we do. And by the way,
2 hours.
if you're wondering and you didn't get a chance to make it this time, we actually have a really special thing happening in December, which we can't tell you about yet. But it's going to be with the Marlies, and it's going to be really, really cool. And we will do another one of these skates towards the end of the year, closer to the playoffs.
Yep.
What was I
they're
going to say?
making it.
I could not believe the amount of people that were on the ice.
No, yeah.
Like, I don't
No.
think that the picture that we took of all of us together doesn't even do it justice.
I don't think that was everybody.
If you've ever gone to a public skate and the arena and the rink is full, imagine a professional-sized ice rink full.
It was like Nathan Phillips Square.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was very, very good, very active. A lot of very good skaters. I felt very insecure.
Yeah. Adam was one of them.
Oh, I know.
Mr. I'm very, very good at skating.
I'm not actually.
Stoico Adam Wilde.
Stoico.
Whatever.
Revoked.
Elvis Adam. Anyways.
Elvis Adam.
Adam's a very good skater.
Well, and honestly, I'm really not, and I'm not even half of what I used to be. But anybody who's like stopped playing hockey
It's a bit
will
of a
tell you
humble
that you
brag.
lose a little bit of your edge.
You
and
think
your
I'm
balance.
good now? You should have seen me before.
My championship winning house league days.
Do you still have your Letterman jacket from high
I
school?
never had a Letterman jacket.
Man, back in my varsity
What
days.
are you chirping?
I don't know. I'm just basically I'm saying Adam is like a stereotypical like high school
Jock?
But
I'm like the antithesis. I was
but
in
like a
drama
bad
club,
guy.
man.
But like a bad guy from a '90s like television show. Hey nerd,
Standard.
yes, that's you.
Okay.
And now he's about to find out. But that was extremely fun. They gave us 2 hours on the ice when they I think only promised us one.
They promised us 1 hour,
And then when the 2 expired, they gave us another 30.
really?
Oh yeah. But you had to go. I stayed out the entire time. It was like me and 5 other people. And
Wow.
we got off the ice together.
I was so sick I couldn't stay any longer.
Yeah, and you got everyone sick.
Did I?
I don't know. I
Oh, okay.
assume.
I hope not.
People tweet us. Let us know if Adam got you sick.
One thing though of note in terms of hockey is that Freddie Go Chee was playing and
was good.
And was good. And the thing with Freddie Go Chee, if you get a chance, read Justin Bourne's article. About a month old now. About Freddie Go Chee and about where he stands in the Leafs organization. But Freddie Go Chee not only played but played well, and he wasn't even supposed to hit the ice till at least I think mid-November. That's what I heard.
Oh, I was shocked to see him.
Yeah, me too. I had no idea. So
And he's really hard to miss. He's
a big boy.
he's so friendly, and like he doesn't play really big or mean, but someone from the Checkers really got in his face. And then when Freddie decided to be mean back to him, there was nothing the other guy could do.
He's
He's
big.
just a 6'5", 230, 240-pound monster. Yeah, he just crushes people.
I know Kasperi Kapanen's had a slow start with the Marlies. And last year, I mean, in the AHL, he kind of just made the AHL look like this league is below me.
Well, he had a hell of a goal with a hell of a shot, but it got called back because of goalie interference.
But he did get a couple other points, and I think he had a great game. The Marlies did not have a great game. The Marlies defense kind of looked like the Leafs defense.
Please talk about the refs.
There were some pretty bad blown calls. Listen, we're talking about AHL hockey, which you probably missed.
I kept yelling referee CHL.
And by the way, if you go to an AHL game, the slashing rule, not in effect. They still don't call slashing in the AHL.
Oh my God.
It doesn't happen.
There's so many injuries where like you just gotta like if you tweet about it, like, hey, how did so and so get hurt? Hopefully someone responds who was actually at that game, and you just gotta kind of take their word for it. I feel like Reimer got like a head or a neck injury in the AHL, and I feel like there was no footage of it, or there was very little footage of it, because again, this was a few years ago, and even though it was the Marlies in Toronto, it's still the AHL, and they're just a few years behind. And I had to be like, "What was it? A dirty play? Was it bad? Was it?"
See, along those lines, they were calling faceoffs. By the way, that was interesting. Yeah. But along those lines, I thought on the fan side of things, Jeff Veillette was there, and he's doing his own thing with the Faceoff Circle on his website, and he was telling me about how hard it can be to watch Marlies games. Like unless you have Leafs Nation Network, which I do as a part of my cable package, but it's tough to get them. Well, if you're watching an away game too, there's a chance that you may not get it. And they have their own version of Game Center.
It's a complete ripoff.
So
it is so expensive.
It's the same.
Oh my God.
Okay, so imagine.
I think it's more than Game Center.
Whatever Game Center costs, it's about what Game Center costs. So anywhere in the States, anywhere in Canada.
Can you look it up?
It's about what Game Center costs. But what blows me away is you only get your team. So if you're a Marlies fan, you get to watch Marlies games and Marlies games only. You don't get to watch whatever game you want. Game Center, you watch whatever you want.
Yes, unless there's like
a local blackout. Yeah.
Otherwise, no. Yeah, there's like hundreds and hundreds of games you can watch. It's
all right. I'm going to sign up for AHL Live. Let's see how much it charges me.
I'm excited to see this.
Oh, season package. Do you guys want to take a guess?
I think it's 180.
Is this American or Canadian?
Canadian dollars.
Okay.
All access, regular season. With this package, you can watch every game from every team throughout the regular season.
Oh, okay.
Including archives.
But it's only regular season.
Regular season.
What? Okay.
So first off, that's a problem for me.
do you want to start? Do you want to start at the lower packages and then work our way up?
No. Let's start at
Let's start at the top and then work our way down.
I want that.
I want full access. What's Game Center?
Full access.
Give me Game Center.
Every team, every game. How much do you think it costs?
$100.
I say 180.
$349 plus tax.
No.
$349 plus tax.
No.
AHL.
No.
I'm gonna select it,
dude. Marley season seats are like $600.
Yeah, man.
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
You could go to a Marlies game for like $10, $12, and it would. You could go to like 25 games and not eclipse that. You go to like 25 Marlies games and not beat that. Like you go to them, physically be there.
Oh my holy Lord.
They do have lesser packages.
Who's buying that? Other than like a broadcaster who has to cover it.
Other than somebody's parent who who's like a parent of a kid on the Marlies,
Or if you're a broadcaster, you're a family member. That's it, right?
Yeah, Jeff might buy that.
Well, because that's a write-off. That's part of it.
Exactly.
So you can buy a package that's just road games. So for $124.99, you can get every Marlies road game, and that's it. You wouldn't get their wouldn't get their home games. You just get the road games.
5-game pass package. So what is that? 5? I guess it's just 5 games.
Any 5 games live.
It's $35.
$35.
See now, and we're blessed here in Toronto. We actually have a network that professionally does Marlies games. Most other places they don't.
Well, and their YouTube channel is very good. I don't know how other
the AHL
teams,
YouTube channel.
Yeah, I don't know how other teams stack up. Oh, Jesus. Like, if I had a kid on the Marlies, I'm subscribing to the YouTube channel. Sorry, I'm not watching you live.
Do they run the games? Do they stream them? They stream them live?
On the YouTube channel?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Maybe. CWHL, I know, streams their games and they have commentary and everything.
Well, because the CWHL knows that they have to grow.
Yeah.
The AHL also would want to look at growth, I would think.
Who on earth is buying that?
I don't know, man.
Wow. And hey, we're not trying to diss the AHL. We want the league to grow, but that's insane.
I think that's crazy. Yeah.
I think we're giving them good advice. Cut that. Make that like a quarter of the price and sell it.
I think that's worth $80. That's worth $80 to me.
So to watch every game,
Is that playoffs included?
to watch every game from the NFL,
Oh,
every single
DAZN?
game on DAZN,
which I have.
which is the number one league in the world, $150.
Every single game.
Every single
Yeah.
game for the entire season.
And with DAZN, it's super cool
Less
because you can
than
watch Bundesliga, you can watch KHL, you can watch. It's all in real time, so I can watch any KHL games, and it gives you notifications when they're on. So like KHL games will sometimes run at 2:00 in the afternoon here, wherever, or 2:00 in the morning. Yeah.
I don't have DAZN. Did they fix all their shenanigans?
So they didn't really fix it. So
Oh.
Rogers has actually gotten back the rights for NFL Sunday Ticket. So
Does DAZN in
it's
Canada no longer
it's
have
not
it?
exclusive. So you can still buy it through DAZN. It's $150, but you can also buy it through Rogers now.
Oh, no, that's
So
what I'll
shout
do.
out Rogers.
It's a little bit easier.
Yes.
Shout out Rogers. Rogers branding all around us. Right? Roger.
That's what I'll do because at least it's reliable. But yeah. That's
Imagine having the balls to charge more than the NFL.
Okay, how do you,
ridiculous.
honestly,
Johnson? What are we gonna charge for this? We're gonna. Sorry, this isn't here. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Don't look. Johnson? No, don't look. 300.
no.
Sorry, I gotta get through. Like seriously, how do you actually get through that business meeting?
I don't know, man. I
Oh
can't
my
imagine
God.
that the costs associated with it either justify that. Like
How many
How
players-
much does it really cost
Yeah.
to? Because literally, the streams are being created anyway. Unless you are physically putting camera people in each arena that are being paid union dues, in which case it's a different business proposition. But seriously, how much does it take to have one camera go?
How many players
and
in
forth.
AHL history have ever played 350
AHL games.
AHL games? $1 a game.
TJ Brennan.
Maybe not. I don't know. Wow, that's insane. Anyway, yeah, it was a lovely experience, and support the American Hockey League. And
Well, listen, we do.
absolutely.
But it's just that's ridiculous, and I would say that to anybody who works for them. That's a ridiculous price. That's crazy.
You know what the Marlies wish we would say right now? You might as well just go to the game.
Which is what I did say. You're good.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was a lot.
Leo Komarov scored 18. Sorry.
So be listening because we will be doing another Marlies big Marlies giveaway. We're really excited about this one in December. It's our little Christmas present to you, Steve Dangle Podcast Christmas present. And again, towards like late winter, early spring, we're going to do another game. So it'll be fun.
Speaking of giveaway, I want to clarify something.
What's up?
A lot of people were hating on me because they just said, "Oh, more free stuff for Steve." Because when I notably beat you in the tricycle race, I got an autographed Marley's stick.
You did.
I did not keep the Marley stick. I gave it to a little girl who was sitting next to me.
And I was going to give I got a runner-up prize, and I forgot to give it away. So Steve actually
I
has
have
that.
it. yeah. So I gave away my
Steve
prize and
did
still
get
have.
some.
He is
Something.
my free stuff.
What was your free stuff?
I think it was a puck and a shirt.
Puck, a towel, and a shirt.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Definitely should have gave that to a kid.
Definitely.
You asshole.
I know.
You jerk. Fun fact: the little girl who I gave the stick to, her dad.
Oh, this is the best.
Oh, yeah.
He leans over to us. He just goes, "Hey, I appreciate the shout out on the podcast." And we're like, "What?" He goes, "I worked on those Dempster's commercials Sidney Crosby was in." Canada's the tiniest place ever.
That
Ever.
was
It's smaller than the Vatican.
And it's so funny talking to him about it because you know that he's a little bit like, this is sort of ridiculous. This is sort of ridiculous. kind of.
Bread. And I was like, I kept calling him Dempster's. I forgot his real name. He's like, "You can call me French fries now," because I guess he's working on some kind of French fries
Well, that's cool.
campaign.
Yeah. And he was a dad who brought his daughter to the game and let her hang out with us hooligans.
And before they came to the game, he prepared her a delicious sandwich on Dempster's bread.
On Sidney Crosby bread.
So one day you thought Sidney Crosby was something. Wait till you see her.
Oh.
She'll be more like Marie-Philippe Poulin, who has a better resume than Sidney Crosby. Shout out Saskia Stewart. She always says that. Oh, she's very passionate about it. Saw her yell about it at Puck Talks one time. Screams about it.
I've never heard her go off on that rant.
Oh, Dude, we should call her on the phone.
No,
right
we
now.
should. Well, I don't know how to work the phones in the new studio right now.
Actually, how about you guys talk about it on your own podcast?
That's right. Well, people have been. So I just want to throw this out there. Again, we will get to the Leafs and Kings and the Rangers and the Canadiens and a few other things. But
Go ahead, you traitorous bastard.
It's so funny because as soon as that was announced, people were like, why isn't Steve involved? Do you hate Steve? Are you leaving the show? No, none of that's happening. And
It's not a coincidence that Merrick is a free agent right now, so
what we're doing and what we always do is multiple things. And this show is kind of the center of everything that I do.
yeah, are you guys new here? Adam has like 6 jobs.
Yeah, but I also like radio is the center of what I do on that side of things. And so you have alternate things. And also I feel like, I want to work a little bit more in sports where possible. The only way to do that is to increase my resume. The only way to increase my resume is to work more in sports. So this is an opportunity to do that. So that's why. Anyway,
best friend, that's my best friend. I
and
want you to improve.
And the show is different.
you're shit.
Much different from this. It's for the Leafs. And it's more of like a storytelling element. So like last week we had Kevin Shea on, who's the head of the MLSE Historical Society. So he like wrote the Centennial book.
The big, yeah, I got
And
that book.
He was
Oh my
actually
God.
there for all 100 years. Of
Yes,
the
he was.
Centennial. Yep.
Knew Conn Smythe directly.
He's a shape-shifting demon.
No,
I just thought I'd throw
He's
that
a really
out
nice dude. Hey, so let's talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Los Angeles Kings. This was a big game last night. I don't think people. It's funny because a Monday night, everybody's a little tired. Everybody's a little bit like the
Can
weekend.
they stop with the Monday games?
So, you know what? I like it because it means I can look forward to Monday night games. But it looks like there's a lot of Monday night games.
I
sure.
hate them because it means I either have to do the LFR Monday night or Tuesday morning and then drag my ass in here. So I'm either really late or really tired.
Do we have a lot of Monday games this year? I think we do.
This is like the 3rd Monday game of the season or
Wow.
something like that. I'm dying.
But this is one of the NHL's top teams against the NHL's top team.
As the standings say. You know what, boy? No, the Kings look really good. That Kempe guy, I didn't know was as good.
Wow, his 4th goal of the year last night,
For a D-man.
and he is very fast.
And they were without Jeff Carter. Kopitar looks very good.
Well, and it was
After
funny.
a
It's
bit
funny
of
with
a
Kopitar.
off
He had one bad year, and it was a bad year on a
By
team
his
that
standards.
had a bad year. But it's so funny that people sort of forgot that Anze Kopitar was Anze Kopitar for a reason.
Yep.
It's not as though his skill dropped off. It's very clear that they needed a new head coach. And look at what John Stevens has gone in and done. If you look at the way that their offense runs now versus what it would have done last year it felt like you were just skating into a brick wall. And that's how the Kings won their 2 Stanley Cups. And I get it was boring and it sucked.
Agony.
But you look at them now, and there's a lot of talent, actual skill on that team. Dustin Brown, for some reason now, is starting to look like Dustin Brown did 5 years ago.
He's got 5 goals. That is exactly what the Kings need, by the way, because in the offseason we were talking about what do they do with Dustin Brown? What do they do?
They may make him useful.
The best answer is make him useful. It's not get rid of him. It's not try to figure out some compromise of a trade. It's maximize that asset, which they did. They're getting more out of Dustin Brown being a decent hockey player than they would have in a trade or burying him or buying him out or any of that.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yes.
There are 23 Mondays until the end of the season. Mm-hmm. The Leafs play on 11 of those
Oh,
Mondays.
man. When you said 23, I almost passed out. No, I'll take 11.
Please
that means
play
8
all
more,
of
I think.
them every Monday.
Whatever, that's fine.
That's a lot of Monday games.
It's a little bit of Monday games.
And
That's
probably-
okay. It's
Probably
good.
a lot of Monday, Wednesday, Saturday because the Leafs are, they especially in Canada, they schedule them specifically where possible on Wednesdays and Saturdays because those are the big national nights. So
Well, and a couple of years ago when the Leafs were predicted to be very, very bad, and they were, there were like 4 or 5 Saturdays where they weren't even playing.
right?
So
Yes.
now they're like,
that was
they
weird.
need to be. It's prime time. I was talking to someone from BC the other day, and he's sick of all the Leafs coverage, but he's like, I get it. Someone told me the numbers, and I was like, oh, that's exactly what I would do too.
It's like New York and baseball. It's the same thing. That's all it is.
A Leaf game versus anybody triples, like a Calgary or Edmonton or Vancouver versus anybody.
And that's just sheer size. It's not rating passion of fans. It's not
No.
It's like we're not challenging your devotion to your team. The numbers are the numbers, right? The numbers of population, and also, I mean, this franchise has been around 100 years. So you're talking about people like our great grandfathers were fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Hockey is like a staple of Canadian culture. Like, I'm sure there's a bunch of Leafs fans in like BC just simply for the fact that the Canucks weren't a team until like 1970.
Yeah, and
simply
people,
for that fact.
And also people migrate. Like if you look at the Steelers are strangely one of the National Football League's national teams. Like they got a few teams like the Patriots, the Steelers, Green Bay Packers, Cowboys, absolutely the Cowboys. And the reason that they think that they don't know this for sure, but the reason they think that Pittsburgh has such a devoted fan base outside of Pittsburgh is because in the late 70s, when they were really, really good, the city was basically falling apart. It was an industrial hub for, 60, 70 years before that. All that died, so all those people left, but they were still Steelers fans, and they raised their kids Steelers fans. So they had to go find jobs elsewhere. But in the meantime, the Steelers are still your team, right? If you left Toronto, Toronto's still your team. And so you have the opportunity to kind of spread your brand out a little bit, and that's sort of what happened. So I thought that was interesting.
That makes a lot of sense.
And in Toronto, it makes sense. I mean, we were talking about actually on the Blue Line podcast. I said, what was it that was the official real start of Leafs Nation? What was it that really cemented the Leafs with Toronto? Because I don't know if you know this or not. I certainly didn't. When the St. Pats were the St. Pats, they almost moved to Philadelphia, and it was a guy named J.P. Bickle, who this guy, Kevin Shea, who's the historian, has written a book about, who came in and saved the Leafs. He got his rich friends, him and his rich friends, basically, helped Conn Smythe finance the buying of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I think this hockey thing is going to be big.
Yeah, right?
I think it's going to stick around.
And you got to remember, like, the Leafs built their arena in 1931 in the grips of the Depression.
Yep.
So that tells you, like, just, so anyway, we're talking about that, and it was radio broadcasts that actually cemented the Toronto Maple Leafs. So for a long time in English Canada, the only team to cheer for was the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's why it's so big, and that makes sense, right? You're talking about Foster Hewitt broadcasting to 20 million English-speaking Canadians, and then the French Canadian was Montreal Canadiens.
That makes perfect sense.
That's how it happened. Anyway, it's weird how those things spread. But anyway,
someone should really do a podcast on that.
That's weird, right?
With a historian who knows all of that.
Anyway,
I would listen to that.
Something
podcast.
I learned. Anyway,
you know how many Kings fans right now are like, I swear you were talking about us a minute ago.
Also, the Leafs only miss 4 Saturday nights throughout the whole year. So there's only going to be 4 Saturday nights.
That's
where they're
actually
not
more than I would have even thought.
Yeah,
Seriously.
I'm
surprised.
One of them is because they play the next day on New Year's Eve. So they're really only missing 3.
The Leafs Vegas.
Yes.
Sorry.
So before the game, we find out Eric Fair is put on waivers, which I believe he is now cleared.
And Roman Polak got signed. We haven't even got to that.
Right, so in the middle of the hockey game, I'm walking up to, like, the middle of the Marlies game, I walk up to the seat and Steve goes, "Hey, Adam!" Go ahead. Tell him.
Hey, Adam. What? Leafs signed Polak. Stop. No. And someone walked up the stairs and they told me that the Leafs had signed Polak. And I looked him in the eyes. I go, I don't believe you. Like, I thought he was pranking me. And I checked my phone. I go,
Sportsnet
you
alerts.
son of a gun.
Yep.
You son of a gun. Hey, whatever. Undefeated. Winning percentage of 1,000.
But
point per game player.
Before we get to Roman Polak, Steve, let's talk about Eric Fair.
Right, yeah, sorry.
Who has just apparently cleared waivers.
Yes.
Eric Fair was surprisingly in the running for that fourth line center role. And Mike Babcock split the games between him and Dominic Moore to start. And it seems as though Dominic Moore has won. And Dominic Moore, who looked a little shaky in the preseason, starting to look like, wow, great pickup.
Well, he had 2 goals in his first 2 games. He had like a crazy spinorama move last night.
He was great.
He got trucked and almost killed. That's a great fourth line. How many teams have a fourth line?
With a 67-point score.
Well, yeah. And Dominic Moore can move. And he can tip in some pucks. He can pass the puck, shoot the puck, skate. And then there's Matt Martin, who has not looked bad. Every time he's on the ice, I'm like, all right, when's it going to be bad?
But back to Eric Fair.
Yes, sorry.
Does that mean that Eric Fair, he goes down to the Marlies, and if they ever need him, they call him up? But
yes, I feel a little bad for him. I think it's a financial decision, purely. I can't remember who it was. I want to say Chris Johnson made the point of it's some kind of cap shenanigans where having Eric Fehr's contract on the roster, his higher cap hit brings the Leafs closer to the cap, which actually gives them more relief in LTIR for some reason. I don't remember exactly how it works. But now, with him being buried and with Polak being signed, the cap hit, I think, is virtually the same.
Okay.
Because you're able to bury, I think, $975,000 worth of his $2 million cap hit, plus it's prorated and all that. Then Polak comes in, $1.1 million, which is prorated $990.
So it's
almost, I think it's the cap hit right now with Polak on the team instead of Fehr, I think is within like $50,000 of what it would have been. So it's virtually identical.
Negligible at that point.
Yeah. And again, if a center gets hurt, you probably move more up and bring Fehr in. And you look around the league, that's not the worst situation in the world.
No, it's not. And if you don't want to bring Fehr up, you can bring up Miro Aaltonen, who looked great at the Marlies and looked great in training camp and probably will be the guy going forward.
He looked pretty good too. It's just, God, the Marlies look so much like the Leafs at times, and I don't mean it in a good way. Like, they were, what were they losing the game? 2-0, 3-0.
Yeah, and then they come
back at the lead.
Yeah.
And I think within 10 seconds, they coughed the lead up.
It's crazy.
Lost the game by 2 goals. The defense loves to give the puck
There was
away.
some bad reffing too, but we'll move beyond that. So the game last night, you were talking a little bit about it was Dominic Moore, Matt Martin, and Mitch Marner. Those three together look pretty good. And actually, you know what's funny? It's almost like the skill guys are rubbing off on Matt Martin, because I saw him at one point hook around the net with the puck and then turn around and skate backwards with it and then like look up. And nobody's taking that. This is Matt Martin. This is like, he's got Stonehenge hands.
I also saw him at one point put his hand on the glass when he was trying to get the puck in the corner. So.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that? When he needs to, like,
it's almost like
himself.
It's like those older guys that put their hand on the wall when they're peeing in a urinal. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm experienced. I know where this is headed.
Yeah, boys, I got to dig in. We're looking forward to a good old pee.
Gonna be here for a while.
Got to get some leverage on this pee. Wow, what an analogy, Adam.
I've always wondered about that. And I apologize for anybody that might be offended by this, but really, it's just peeing. Everybody does it.
I don't think
there are guys that there are different stances at a urinal, and
it says a lot about you.
It does.
It's like a jersey tuck.
There are those who have hand on pant, hand on area. There are those who are confident enough to have hand on pant, because you don't want your pants to fall off, and not everybody, sometimes you undo the top button.
Why?
Right?
No.
Huh? Sometimes you got, because you don't want, listen, if you have your hand on your pant, that means you don't pee on yourself, right? You want to, because sometimes a pant can move.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you always have
thumb in there.
You kind of have something in like a belt loop or whatever, right?
Okay.
And then you get your hand up on the wall, because just standing up straight's too much for you. You need to lean on something. I don't know. I still don't understand why people do. There is a guy.
Someone tries to, shove you out of the urinal. I don't know.
Right?
I always think it's weird.
And then there's a guy, and I won't say the name because I get in huge trouble, but there's a person here who we work with.
No.
Nick Kyprios.
No, it's not. No. It's not anybody that anybody would know. I'll put it that way. But he stands at the urinal with both hands on his hips. And if that is not the most confident stance peeing I've ever seen in my life, it's crazy.
I know.
It's like he just stands there. It's just
Nick Young's his pee.
He doesn't hold. He doesn't hold it up. He doesn't hold his pants up. It just stands there.
All right.
It's crazy. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
In case he's got to cook or juggle or something while he's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. Well, now that everyone knows how that works.
So that's how Matt Martin got the puck out of the corner.
Right. Oh, that's where we were.
But that line,
thank you.
It seemed as though
it's a good fourth line.
When Connor Brown started there, it was like everything I can do to get Connor Brown off that line. And obviously, Babcock said, I don't think Brownie thinks he's going to stay there. And he hasn't. But I almost feel like keep them together. Why not? They look great. Or they looked great. If they continue to look like that, that's a very effective fourth line that can actually score.
The Leafs won the game. They are 7-2. How many points does Mitch Marner have so far this season?
I think he's
Jesse?
got 6.
I think he's at 6 too.
Like,
No
I think
goals,
it's
though.
one goal, I think,
one goal?
and I think 5 assists.
He should have 2. And he had 2. And he
Yeah,
had
we'll
2
get to
assists
that.
last night.
No.
No, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So yeah, it's cool to see. I mean, two of the major weaknesses with the Toronto Maple Leafs last year, which were surprising because we thought the whole team was going to be pretty weak.
Jesse was absolutely right. 1 goal, 5 assists, 6 points in 9 games.
Steve was absolutely correct.
Oh, was I?
I said that, but yeah.
I said
Oh,
no
Jesse
goals.
said that. Leo Komarov had 18. Sorry.
Anyway.
Every time I screw up, I'm just gonna be like, "Did you know?"
Last year, 2 of the major weaknesses for the Toronto Maple Leafs were the fourth line and the third pair defense. Those were the 2 ones that you were like, man, I really would. And you know what? That was best case scenario. That was great. That's the only problem we have? Fantastic. You mean we have a goaltender that's good? You mean we have a top line that can score and 2 other lines that can do that
Our
too?
standards were lower.
Much lower. So now we're getting to the almost obsessing stage over those same 2 things. It would seem to me like the fourth line, if it continues to play like it is, that's a line that you can play a little bit more than the average team's fourth line.
Absolutely. Well, and it's also like whose fourth line stacks up to that? If they're just relatively responsible defensively, like I think it's an excuse for Mitch Marner to tighten up even more because his offensive opportunities are going to be fewer.
Although he is still quarterbacking the power play, so he's going to have those opportunities.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's always going to get his man advantage opportunities. His 5-on-5 offensive opportunities are going to be fewer. So if he gets burned and the other team scores while the fourth line is on the ice and it's Mitch Marner, like that's unacceptable. So it's almost like he's got. Well, it's not almost like it is exactly like he's got a tighter leash. So excel at this level, excel with this assignment you've been given, and maybe you get moved up. When the Leafs need offense, we saw Babcock, I want to say in the Sens game, switch to putting Marner with Kadri and Marleau, and Komarov went down to the fourth line. But in general, I mean, this team has enough offense as it is.
And I think we need to stop ourselves, and it's understandable why we do this, but we need to stop looking at the fourth line like it's like a bad place to be.
On this team, it's just not.
It's not.
It's not.
And in and I get it in regular circumstances, why we all feel that way.
Sure.
No, because that's not the line that scores. But I feel like in this particular instance, there's an opportunity here to reinvent or to at least change a little bit our perceptions of what a fourth line should be. And maybe we've just never had an effective fourth line before. We don't know what it looks like.
Well, the identity of a fourth line has changed over the years. Like
Yeah.
the ideal fourth line in the NHL a few years ago, if you ask a lot of people, was Casey Cizikas centering Matt Martin and Cal Clutterbuck. Yeah. And they can bang and crash and bang and crash, bang and crash. And they can shut you down and shoot them up and do all kinds of bang and crash.
Remember when the Leafs were your top 6 are your scoring, your bottom 6 are your grinders. That
Absolutely.
was 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
It was Jay McClement some nights centering
Colton
Orr and Fraser McLaren.
Yeah.
So
Who
it
couldn't
wasn't
play.
even a shutdown
Who
line.
could not even play.
Yeah, it wasn't even a shutdown line. It was just you gooned up the Habs. You literally punched them in the face when the game was already 5-1.
And I don't think hockey works like that anymore. I think
No,
everyone's
no.
going towards speed. Same thing we were talking about last episode, how on the power play you have 4 forwards now.
Yep.
That's how hockey's working now. You want your scorers out there.
It's amazing that in an 82-game season, for years, coaches basically cut their offense by 25%. By
Yeah.
basically being like, we're going to burden the top 3 lines by not even using the fourth.
You know, you made a good point a couple years ago when
yeah, I did.
when Vancouver and Boston
Good job.
played in the finals in 2011.
Yes.
Vancouver suffered, I think, what the Leafs suffered a couple years later when they lost to Boston, which is instead of being what the Vancouver Canucks were, they tried to become what the Boston Bruins were, right? The Leafs did the same thing. I mean, the David Clarkson deal is a direct reaction to them losing Game 7. Now, I don't think that...
And Dave Bolin.
And Dave Bolin, for sure. Absolutely. Now, when you look at it now, it seems very silly. But if you look at the 1970s, for instance...
Okay.
Who's the toughest team in the league in the 1970s?
Philadelphia Flyers.
Philadelphia
who were
Flyers.
literally allowed to get away with felonies every shift.
Right. And I almost wonder if the entire enforcer concept, which I don't think fully existed before the 1970s. You know, I think they had people who fought, but I think it was anybody fought.
Yeah, I think everybody had to fight.
Gordie Howe fought in an All-Star game, right?
So funny.
It's ridiculous.
So funny.
I think in the 70s it became a role. And that pushed it in the 80s, and I think it was a reaction to how tough the Philadelphia Flyers were.
Yeah, you literally needed murderers to compete against their murderers.
And then in the 80s, you have Dave Semenko and the Oilers, right?
The sheriff,
Semenko. Now, and you've got Glenn Anderson who could score and could fight, and you know a few other people. But what was interesting about the Oilers is their top end talent in the 80s was so good. That you only needed your top 3 lines. But other teams built their teams the way the Oilers did. But not every team has Wayne Gretzky. Do you know what I mean?
He was also a little guy. Like in a league that was constantly getting bigger.
Right.
Gretzky was a little guy, and he tried to fight once, and it was hilarious.
I think it was against Wilf Paymont against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
No, or maybe 2 fights then. It was, I want to say Neil Broughton.
Oh, it was, of the North Stars.
It's really funny, because he drops his gloves, and Broughton looks at him like, really? Okay.
But
and
that's
it's like 2 punches, and Gretzky's like, I made a mistake.
See, that's the thing, though, is that when the Oilers built their teams that way, first off, they had Messier on the second line, which is scary. But they built a team that could make up for the fact that they didn't need 4 scoring lines because they had Wayne Gretzky scoring 215 points a year. You know what I mean?
I just remembered something. I wrote an article on Gordie Howe shortly after he passed, and maybe we're on to something with, you know, the enforcers kind of coming with the birth of the Broad Street Bullies, but also Gretzky being a really little guy. The season, I want to say it was the first season Gordie Howe won the Hart Trophy. It was like in 1952, something like that. There were 10 players in the entire NHL who I want to say were 6 feet tall or taller.
Wow. He must have seemed like a giant.
Now wait for it though. 10 players 6 feet or taller. 4 of them are in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Being big mattered.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Gordie Howe, Jean Beliveau, and I don't remember the other two. So maybe that's what it was in response to. I don't know.
That's
but
nuts.
it's gone now. And I don't know. Does it feel like the game needs it?
No, I don't feel like I'm missing anything. And even the fight, like the first fight, I think Matt Martin had 2 fights last night.
Well, and a bunch of people in the comments were, they were mutual roughing minors. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
I mean, the first Matt Martin fight was like, okay, so you're fighting the guy because he hit your player cleanly?
Yeah.
Like,
Boy, that was it. Yeah, but that's what his role is. His role, I know.
Like, why?
know.
Why? The second fight, I sort of get. He went after, somebody goes after Marner. Nobody puts Baby in a corner. Right?
Exactly. Well, anyway, and that wasn't even that stiff of a fight. But you know what?
He threw some, man.
You know what? I've been sold what Matt Martin is, right? So Babcock has justified Matt Martin's role by being like, oh, it keeps the flies off. When Dominic Moore got hit by Dowd, that's a big fly. Get him off. Got him off. All right. Mitch Marner gets hit when he has no stick. Get that fly off.
It's not a big fly on Austin Matthews. It's a big fly on Dominic Moore.
So what? Keeps the flies off. Keep that fly off. I've been told what his role is by the coach of the team, and he better do that role. That's all I'm saying. If that's
his role, he should do it.
It's a tough lineup to crack up front, especially on the wings.
Yeah.
Martin's up front and on the wing. He better do his role. Zach Hyman is in the position he's in because he plays the shit out of his role. Babcock said that's Martin's role. So if someone gets decked on that line, you better do it.
What gets me, though, is I don't know if you saw the GIF floating around on Twitter last night of Dustin Brown sticking his stick into Austin Matthews' helmet, like underneath.
No, I missed it. There were a bunch of like weirdly dangerous plays in that game.
Yeah, and especially at the end when Dustin Brown hit Jake Gardner, he should have had a slashing call right before that. And that's when the Kings were already shorthanded.
Doughty got a skate in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, that was by accident. I don't think that.
No, of course.
And listen, there are going to be slashing calls that go uncalled, right? Like there are things that happen, and Dustin Brown is a guy that plays on the edge and likes to get under your skin, and he's the West's Brad Marchand from 2011, he should be
a little bit. Okay, I see.
I think him playing at his best, that's what he plays. But it's funny that that can happen, and he's not after Dustin Brown, but Dominic Moore gets leveled, and
he was there. He was there. He was on the ice. But this is the interesting thing. I think what's the closest equivalent of Matt Martin that the Kings have? Andy Andrioff, and they pair it up. So that's one of those weird situations again because of the code. If Martin is put on the ice to go after Brown, and then he goes after Brown, now Andrioff's got to do something, and then we get the Canucks game again from last year.
Oh, but that was fun.
That was fun, but it also just led to a full month of pants shitting, like online. Just a full month of diaper filling to the brim on Twitter. Just from both sides, awful. Terrible.
Well, it was
like when the rematch came, I'm like, can you just fight?
Remember?
And then Martin fights Goodbranson. I'm like, good, we're done.
Remember in game 81 last year? Or there was a game where the Leafs could have clinched a playoff spot earlier.
Oh my God, they had like 9 opportunities.
And they would have played the Sens. And
game 82.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, game 82.
They had a 2-0 lead on Columbus.
So game 82, it was game 82. And I remember watching Twitter and going, when they ended up losing the game, how negative it turned between Ottawa and Toronto fans on Twitter so quickly. I was thank God that didn't happen. That would have spoiled the experience for both sides.
That was a really good transition. Really good transition. Play the Caps, two fan bases who
are respectful.
There's no animosity. Nope. It was fun. Even the Kadri Ovechkin thing, like, oh my God. Can you imagine Kadri low bridges, I don't know, Mike Hoffman instead of Ovechkin? Mark Stone. Erik Karlsson.
Whew.
It is, you got to call the National Guard. And just put them on Twitter.
Ottawa and Toronto secede from Canada.
It's just a bunch of guys with rifles on Twitter going, all right, everyone, out of each other's mentions. Be off of Twitter by 7 p.m. Eastern.
There's a strict, what do they call that? Curfew.
Twitter curfew.
Which there should be, by
the way. What on earth were we talking about? Yeah, Matt Martin's been good.
Yeah, no. So now, so it's changing a little bit. I think a Leafs fan perspective of what a fourth line can look like, and I like that, and I like what Mike Babcock's willing to do. Now he has the depth to do it, but I like what he's willing to do to kind of just change those things and go, well, just because that was the way it was doesn't mean it has to be the way it is. I.e., and we've talked about this before, players taking a face-off on their strong side. And the best example, I think, is Matthews and Nylander, who are both well over 55% in their face-off wins, which is pretty amazing. And that's the thing, is people don't see Nylander as a face-off guy, yet he's taking a ton of face-offs every game.
What is Kadri at in the face-off circle?
I think he's in the pluses, too.
I think he is as well.
The Leafs are, I think, if they're not the top, they're top 3 face-off team in the league, I'm pretty sure.
They're good. And
they're supposed to be, though.
I think
That's
we
a
talked about it in the summer. Matthews was a little weak in the faceoff circle, and one thing I said about Kadri was whether or not they use him on the penalty kill, I don't know, but he's not good on draws, and he historically hasn't been. They just need to get better in that department.
Kadri is sitting at 53.5%.
That's really good.
Pretty good.
Really, really good.
Last season, he was 48.1.
What was with Matthews? Matthews was about 47, 48 last year, too, I think.
And I noticed Kadri was out there with about 2 minutes to go, something like that, or 3 minutes to go, taking key draw, and I don't think they would have given them that chance.
And that's the thing about that, is
it would have been Ben Smith.
It's a learned skill. That's a learned skill. You can learn that.
Through reps.
You can't, you can't learn what Austin Matthews does, I don't think, when you're 20. But, you learn that when you're 4.
Yeah, you got to grow up a monster.
But that sort of face-off wins, you can learn. You can learn that. You can get better at that.
Matthews sitting at 52.2%.
That's great. So I was wrong about 55%, but
46.9 last year.
Yeah, that's bad. And especially if you're going to give him those kinds of minutes. Yeah, no, that's very good.
And anytime you can move a guy 6 percentage points on a face-off dot, and that's because he's taking a strong side face-off. What's Nylander? Can you look that up?
And that might level off a bit.
But no, I mean, it could. But it's also a strategy that seems to be working right now, and I think it's really, really cool. Now, again, small sample size as well.
Nylander is 53.6, and last year he was 40.2.
There you go.
And he rarely took a face off.
Yeah, he didn't take that many last year.
Well, we also kind of forget, you're praising Babcock for the fourth line. We also kind of forget, because of how good this team is, how young they are. And, he's sheltering them in a way. How many other, top centers in the league get this treatment of, we don't want you taking face-offs on your weak side. We're gonna.
But maybe that's a team strategy going forward. Because I'm pretty sure
could be. It is a copycat league. everyone pulls their goalie with like 9 minutes to go now.
Yeah, that's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, well, okay.
Might as well get it over with.
We'll all get rid of our enforcers and watch. Some big thing is going to happen this year, and there's going to be some like
Cold Nor comes out of retirement.
well, some Cam Jansen, Declan Caberlet scenario where Darcy Tucker, or no, what was it? Oh, Darcy Tucker has to come out of the change room to yell at everybody, and Wade Belak wasn't dressed for that game.
Right.
There's going to be some kind of scenario like that. They call him up. And then, now they got their enforcer. And it's always an arms race.
Yeah, for sure.
But right now, the arms race is skill. So
let's go through the actual game because we haven't gone through it yet.
Oh, right.
The game starts with quite literally the if you were to bet on who scores the first goal, this is not it. It's Polak shoots with a pass from Marner, and somehow Matt Martin gets a tip in.
Well, and for all the reviews in that game, I'm surprised that one wasn't one.
Yeah, true. Good point. Now, so we've talked enough about that line, and then later on, Bozak scores. This is in the second period now. Scores like on a bang around in the power play. Could have been JVR. Could have been, I think.
Yep.
Connor Brown was in there. And then Adrian Kempe scores 17 seconds later. This is a second game in a row where a team has scored within 20 seconds of the Leafs scoring. This has got to be something that they go, okay, now pattern's starting to develop here. Focus.
I think it'll correct itself because the first one was Zaitsev with just a complete bonehead giveaway.
Yeah.
And this was Freddie Anderson probably allowing his worst goal of the season. So
yeah,
I think
you're right.
Believe me, I want to go see pattern, but it'll correct itself. It'll correct itself. I think it better correct itself. I tell you, I'll skate you into the ground.
So end of the second period. There's about a minute and a half left. Zach Hyman and I forget the Kings defenseman's name.
Derek Forbor.
They are fighting in front of Jonathan Quick. Now, if you look at the replay from the top, you get a different view than what you would get from the side. But it looks like from the side that Zach Hyman punches accidentally Jonathan Quick in the face.
Or
when you look at it from the
shoulders him in the
top
head.
view, it's actually the Kings defenseman that hits him in the face.
I thought he punched him in the face.
Yeah, but
By accident.
he's trying to move Zach Hyman, but he hits Jonathan Quick in the side of the head. Now, Jonathan Quick lies down, grabs his head, and the concussion protocol guys pull him out of the game.
I see you have notes. I'm going to bring up something.
I have John Shannon.
That's what I was looking for.
John Shannon from Sportsnet. Now, everybody so at this point, this is what we think should happen. He should be pulled off the ice, and he has a 15-minute concussion protocol meeting.
Yes.
Doctor looks at him, makes sure he's good, and then he goes back on.
Yes.
Right? Now, this is great because it's only a minute and a half left in the period.
Yeah,
so why not?
like that, 2
so
minutes.
why can't Darcy Kemper just jump in there for a minute and a half? What's the big deal?
And do his job.
Do your protocol, and then you're back. You're back for the start of the third period. It's 13. It's 15 actual minutes, not 15 playable minutes.
Yeah, I think this was in the first period, wasn't it?
Second period.
Oh, okay,
Then in the
fine.
second.
Sure.
So this is the explanation of the concussion protocol last night with Jonathan Quick, because Jonathan Quick, by the way, sat out for 37 seconds. That's it. Wow. So here's the rule. Original views on video showed clutching of the head in combination with shoulder to head contact, which requires mandatory removal for full evaluation. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That's what we thought.
Yep.
Subsequent and new video angles showed that no shoulder to head contact, only stick to head contact, combined with clutching of the head, which does not require mandatory removal, rather discretionary
I would
removal.
like to see that replay another time.
So hold on here.
Stick? I don't think so.
Because we know that concussions are as much, well, not as much, but they are a huge part of your shoulders and neck are a huge part of concussions as well. Mm-hmm. So you're telling me
that was what held Sidney Crosby out for so long, is there was a neck injury that went with his concussion that he didn't know about for a long time.
Right. So you're telling me that if my neck and shoulders aren't involved, I can't still get a concussion? This is where it doesn't make sense. If I get a stick directly to the head, I can still have a concussion.
No.
So spotters are instructed to update the calls as they become aware of new video and new facts. They did that here. Once discretionary, which it was because it's not shoulders and head, it's just head, which, by the way, is the most important part. The head is the important part. Once discretionary, LA medical staff, aka the trainer without a medical degree,
AKA Dr. Nick Riviera.
Inflammable means flammable? What a country.
Hey, Jonathan, how's your head? Hey, it looks okay.
LA medical staff were simply under obligation to satisfy themselves that the player was, quote, good to go. The player, no requirement for a quiet room evaluation. LA medical staff determined Quick was, quote, good to go. Now, we understand how players are, right? We understand that they play through concussions.
They're lunatics.
Because that's just how they're built. We understand that. However, what we have seen now, for 30, 40 years of concussions, bad ones, is that is something that we need to maybe change our views on. As in, you have to pull a player against their better judgment.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be the ones that pull themselves.
Now,
which is why you have a concussion spotter.
I think that's what they were going to do. And then they watched it again and saw the stick and decided it wasn't necessary. I don't know. But I mean, I guess a stick hitting you wouldn't be the same impact as a shoulder or a fist. But it's two parts. It's either they didn't take the concussion protocol as seriously as they should, as the spotters, or they made a mistake and could have potentially cost the Kings a goal by throwing in a cold Darcy Kemper and taking out a goalie who didn't need to be taken out. Like, they admitted, oh, well, we watched another angle, we made a mistake. Right? So the Leafs got a shot on Darcy Kemper. He made a save. What happens if the Leafs score on Darcy Kemper? Now the Kings have a legitimate beef with what you told us to get the goalie out for no good reason. You know? And we tried to put him back in and you wouldn't let us because the rule said you couldn't.
So, and I understand that. But at a certain point, he did get a nice hit to the head. And there's a lot of speculation that he might have been embellishing for a call.
Jeff O'Neill said, I heard Nick Kiprio say on the car ride here.
He for sure was. I'm sorry.
Maybe.
And you know what?
Well,
I don't blame him because why not get the call?
Well, it's either concussions are dangerous or he was for sure faking it. You know what I mean? Like, we got to pick one. Which one was it?
And it just seemed like they went down the middle with it.
Yeah, in a very NHL way. I asked in my video yesterday, I go, well, actually, this pertained more to the goaltender interference discussion, which
we'll get to.
Yeah,
we will
maybe
get to
this
that.
will lead into it, but it was basically, okay, how many of you watching this right now or listening, whatever, have become regular watchers of hockey? You become hockey fans in the last 365 days. How many of you are completely confused every time you watch this freaking sport?
So I've been watching hockey for 20 years and I don't know what's going on.
In order to be a hockey fan, especially a new hockey fan, it's a decision that you make. It's not like a song that you hear and you just go, I love this song. You got to actively try to be a hockey fan. You gotta love it for all its flaws because it's really stupid sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
the NHL.
And I gotta ask the question. And if it were Freddie Anderson, I would ask the same question. Mm-hmm. At what point are they going to take this seriously? And I don't mean to get too serious, but like, let's be honest. If you have a lawsuit against the NHL, okay, you're a lawyer, you get a lawsuit against the NHL, and your argument is that the NHL does not take concussion seriously. Do you not rip that video off and show it in front of a courtroom and go, here's how they're not taking the protocol seriously?
That's what Scott Wheeler said. It also just seems like
it's right there. His head is clocked to the side.
It also seems like the players, the people in charge of enforcing these rules are pretty confused too.
Well, it doesn't seem like
err on the side of caution. Take him out.
And it's a minute 30 to go.
Exactly. John Stevens, I thought, was very funny on it, too. This is from LA Kings Insider. On the late first period situation in which Jonathan Quick came out of the game before.
Sorry, it was first period. My bad. I thought it was second.
Oh, whatever. We were notified through the headset from the league spotter that he had to come out. Apparently, the league office had looked at the play when he got bumped into and deemed it worthy of, what's the term there, a mandatory evaluation. So as we were getting Darcy ready to go into the net, they said they reviewed it a second time and he doesn't have to come out. So when we tried to put him back in net, the referees came over and said if there's an injury on the ice, he has to come out for one play. And I said, well, he's not injured. We were doing what we were told from the league. And then they came over after that and said, you know what? That's never happened before.
That's fair.
So that was the read on it, which is respectful. I mean, they were doing what they thought was right. We just didn't like a guy going in with a minute left in the period. So everybody was just doing what they were told. And in the end, we wanted to put Johnny back in because we were told he could. But then they deemed at that point that he was an injured player, but had to come out for one play, a reporter says. But he had been playing for about 3 minutes after that. And Steven says, I don't know. You'd have to ask the league that question. Quite honestly, we want to ask the league that question because it was a little bit disruptive for everybody, I think. Nobody to blame, really. I disagree, John. I just want a little bit more clarification. So now it seems like the mistake is on the referee's fault, part because he was pulled out of the game because the concussion spotter was like, that's a concussion. Then the concussion
potential concussion.
A potential concussion. Then the spotter calls down and says, never mind, there's no injury on the play. Referee says, you can't come back into the game. You're an injured player. But the person who originally called him injured, the Kings didn't pull him out as an injured player.
No, they didn't want to.
Told him. Someone made a mistake. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I feel bad for the referees.
Is it a reasonable
it's a tough
mistake?
spot.
Yeah, they're just doing what they're told, and they're like, okay, this is what we know happens with injured players, and he's injured, so they did what they were told. And then the league made a decision. They're like, okay, we made a mistake. Let's fix it. I think everybody was just trying to do what was right, and then it just got kind of kerfuffled.
So this isn't a video game. It's
Real life.
margin of error.
Yeah.
Is this reasonable margin of error?
Yeah, it sounds like everyone was just kind of confused, and they made a couple human mistakes.
It's as John Stevens said, it's the first time.
Yeah.
After yelling and screaming about this on the video and for 5 minutes previous to this, I kind of think it's reasonable margin of error.
Yeah.
Sure.
I still think err on the side of caution. Take him out. 2 minutes left.
I have to pee. So the third period, we see Mitch Marner score a goal, and then it is called back. Now, during the play, there is incidental contact between the LA Kings defenseman and Matt Martin. Matt Martin goes sliding into Jonathan Quick, takes out his legs. Now, if Mitch Marner had shot at that point, I'd be like, yeah, goaltender interference for sure. My question on this play, and I want you to really go back and watch it because the highlight packs don't really show the full story.
Yeah.
What happens is Matt Martin slides, Jonathan Quick is taken out. However, the puck's nowhere near the net, and Mitch Marner's not ready to shoot it yet. Jonathan Quick then gets up, then goes back to his crease, then pushes himself out of the crease towards Mitch Marner, who avoids him and shoots and scores.
It's two movements. He gets crashed into the left post, shoots himself to the right post, and then he goes forward. So it's two movements since the incidental contact.
Yeah.
This is the stupid thing about the play. Mitch Marner, literally, and he said this after the game, actually, he had a wide open net, and he didn't shoot it because he wanted to give Quick time to recover, which is hilarious. And then he does give him time to recover. He goes from like one hash
Quick
mark to the other.
makes a movement.
Yeah, and then bails on the play. Watch the replay and how he just completely quits on the play. Then Marner shoots and scores, and they wave it off. My question is, how long should Marner have waited for the goal to count?
I was going to ask the same thing. Isn't it incumbent upon the ref to blow it dead at that point?
This is sort of what Justin Fisher was saying on Twitter. Like, it would have made much more sense to blow the play dead or call a penalty or something right when the contact happened, because it's almost like
how much time do you have to wait for that goaltender to recover? What constitutes a recovery?
Yeah, those seconds where Marner had the puck don't count. To where they almost should have gone back on the clock.
Yeah,
because
yeah. So in the end, they made the right call. That's my thing about it.
I don't think
because it should have been dead when he got run over, and then we still had possession of the puck, and everything's unfair at that point.
But
and it's
because,
dead.
but because they didn't make a call, then they didn't make the right call.
But in retrospect, they did make the right call. Because
No, I still don't think
the
they
right
did.
call in the moment would have been playing. Do we all agree that the right call in the moment would have been to call the play dead?
No, because the goalie's
but
back in
that's
it.
the right call, and they didn't make that.
Do you agree that that's the right call?
Right, but they didn't make that call.
But they did in retrospect.
But you can't do it once the goalie's back in position. That's the thing. Jonathan Quick got back into position and started playing again. And that's where my issue comes from. If they'd made the right call, they'd have blown it dead. They didn't make that call, and the play continues, which to me is a signal from the referees that, hey, yeah, you're cool, keep playing.
Yeah,
everything counts.
But that was wrong to do that. To make that signal.
Right, so they got it wrong.
So they got it wrong.
They got it wrong in the moment, and then they said, okay, let's just call a goalie interference. Let's go back in time and just call it.
But they didn't go back in time. They didn't put the time back on the clock.
It's 4 seconds.
Doesn't matter. You got to do if that's the way you want to play it. If that's the semantics you want to play.
Yeah.
First off, you should have blown it dead. Second, you should have put the time back on the clock. That's how it should be.
But they got it right because that was the correct call.
I see what you're saying. It's right in the sense that the Kings shouldn't have been scored on. It's wrong in the sense that it was technically the play was active. It was valid, right? So in that sense, the Leafs have a legit argument. Well, the play wasn't blown dead.
What are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to clear it and come back?
But was not. So in a way, okay, I see what Jesse is saying. Justice was served.
Sure.
In that the Kings shouldn't have been scored on.
That's my whole point.
But they then blow the play dead.
Yeah.
And then my question is, okay, if you don't think blowing the play dead was the right decision, because I saw a few people give a couple reasons for why the play shouldn't have been dead, then what is adequate time?
Yeah,
What's
that's my question is, if to me, the second that Jonathan Quick is able to jump back in and position himself, he made 2 moves and positioned himself to angle off Mitch Marner. At that point, he's back in.
Well, the move to the one post, the move outward, and then he stops moving. He quits. He quits on the play. Mm-hmm. I don't know. The whole
just
sequence
like you
was
quit
stupid.
on that pun.
No, you see,
Sad.
because you see, all I can say is thank God Patrick Marleau scored.
Yeah,
because can you imagine the whole show would have been that play?
I'm sure that just like what happened at the beginning of the first period, I'm sure that's probably one of the first times that's actually happened. Right? Most of the time when you get a goaltender interference, it's like, you know,
it was a weird amount of time.
It's Matt Martin's butt in Jonathan Quick's face, and then he like knocks a blocker out of the way, and then somebody scores and it shouldn't count.
Yeah.
That to me is the first time where it's like, it's been, you know, the Leafs had possession for a really long time.
At least 3 Mississippi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at what point, and that's what the NHL now needs to look at that play and decide, at what point is Jonathan Quick considered back in the play and not interfered with?
It's a lot of discretion, and I think 2 goals happened very quickly there that were 100% the ref's discretion. The goalie interference, and the call on the ice was no goal. It wasn't a conclusive enough play one way or the other to reverse that call, so it was no goal. The Patrick Marleau high stick, that looked pretty close to a high stick. I don't think it was conclusive enough to
reverse the play.
To reverse the call on the ice, which was goal. So the Kings got one, the Leafs got one. Call it even. It's a crazy sport. I don't know. Is it just happening more? Are we making this up in our head? Like, is this a harder game to follow? Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I got to tell you, the time it takes to figure. I feel like maybe too. They have made a lot of rule changes in the last 2 years. A lot of they've gotten really specific about certain things. I wonder if, just like slashing, just like clutching and grabbing at the beginning or the end of the last lockout, I wonder if this doesn't figure itself out over the course of time and they speed it up and it's easier to understand.
Or we get used to it.
Or we get used to it. I don't know.
It's like standing in a hot shower. And then you're fine.
Well, Jesse, I want to clarify because I think you're right. But would you not agree? Would you not agree that if Jonathan Quick's legs are taken out, they should have blown it dead?
Yeah, that was my point.
So why continue with the play? That's what I don't understand. That's what the NHL needs to figure out.
He made a mistake, the referee.
Well, fuck that. And fuck him for his mistake.
The referee should have blown the...
Got me excited and off my couch for no reason.
Now, what if Zach Hyman slashes somebody and the puck comes loose and he gets the puck and he starts charging up the ice and he's got a breakaway. And then and this is at his own blue line. And he's charging up the ice and he makes it to the other team's blue line and he just crosses that threshold and then the ref goes, "Weet! Whistle, no, slashing penalty."
Was that would have been the correct call, right?
Well, no, because
5 seconds ago.
You either call it in the moment or you don't. That's Steve's point, I think. Right?
Yes.
Because if Zach Hyman has possession of the puck, they'd have to blow it dead right away if it's a slashing penalty.
Mm-hmm. If you get the call right, Leaf fans have a legitimate beef of why didn't you call it right away. If you get the call wrong, Kings fans have a legitimate beef. Why the hell didn't you call the slash? Either way, you goofed.
But the thing is, they got it right in the end. In the end, you get it right.
Did they?
I don't think
half
so.
Right.
I think it's half.
No, but in the moment when it happened, what should have happened? He
They should have
A
voted.
slash should have been called.
Yeah.
So in the
Or-
end, it should have been a slashing. So I'm always okay. There's both sides are going to be wrong.
Yeah.
So you should pick the one where,
Okay.
if in the moment you would have got it right. Does that make sense?
That's sort- yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
I get it.
Either side you pick is going to be, somebody's going to be upset and it's going to be wrong because you
Right.
already made a mistake. So why not pick the side where originally, if you had done it correctly, you would have been right?
Well, let's go.
Because you can only pick one of those two
fair.
things.
No, let's go.
I get that.
Let's go a step further. At every intermission, the refs get to review everything, and they get to call all the penalties that they missed.
Okay.
And each team starts 2-on-2. Oh, the Leafs have a 3-on-2 power play, or something like that.
I think that's fair because then you would have got everything right.
Yeah, no, you're not allowed to have two players, so it's three. So what if you missed like 3 calls and then you get into like penalty debt?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like prolonged.
Yeah, but did we get everything right?
They did.
Then it's fair.
Guess what? Penalty debt and glowing
Penalty
pucks
debt.
and blurn ball. This goofy friggin' league.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. That makes sense.
What's the length of time a ref is afforded to get the call right? Is the question.
By the way,
we're asking,
the answer
right?
is split second. That's why you're a ref. That's why you get paid over $100,000 a year.
Yeah, but that wasn't the. It wasn't a split second. It was many split seconds.
But that's the point. That's to me where you got it wrong. And I see what you're saying, Jess, when you talk about the fact
I
that
totally see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think
I don't
Because
even disagree
replay
with you.
afforded him the opportunity to correct himself.
Yeah.
And he took advantage of it. Wouldn't you correct yourself if, okay, now I made a mistake, now we got to replay it. I'm going to get the call correct.
But as Steve says, with how many calls can you do that, and for how long, right? And that's something they're going to have to figure
The
out.
Leafs, looking at it from the Leafs' perspective, the Leafs are just trying to play within the rules. And the rule is the play was still active. And the goalie had time to get back in his net. And what should the Leafs have done? Cleared the zone?
Marner just
goes into
around,
the neutral.
just
Yeah.
hung around.
That's what I mean. Like,
How many more moves
one
should he have
Mississippi,
made?
2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, or clear the zone and come back? Like, is it an offside? Like, how do you do it?
Thank God it didn't affect the outcome of the
Yeah.
game.
No
because,
kidding.
Boy, would this be a miserable conversation.
Okay, so we're gonna move on a little bit quicker here. Patrick Marleau makes it 3-1. Trevor Lewis adds one unassisted shorthanded, which
Beautiful.
It was a good goal.
Actually, on that note, I saved something from Justin Bourne, and I did not realize it was this bad. So the Leafs gave up a 3-on-5 goal. That was terrible. They gave up another shorty in this one. Things could be worse, everybody. Justin Bourne says, goodness. Through 9 games, the Sabres on 5-on-4 power play, or the Sabres 5-on-4 power play, is -3.
Ooh.
3 goals for, 6 against. How does that happen?
Ooh, I don't know.
How does that happen? Who's in charge of the power play? Buddy, you're going to get
what's
kicked
going
in the
on in Buffalo?
ass.
Jonathan Quick's penalty towards the end of the game.
Hilarious.
Now,
Hilarious.
You can say that Leo Komarov embellished that. I actually don't know that he did because he was midair when Quick stuck out his arm. So it's kind of hard to.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably fell with a little more style.
Now, I've said it 1,000 times. You can get away with a lot of things, but if it affects possession, I think it was Alec Martinez had the puck. Komarov is in a clear path to at least get to him, get a stick in there, maybe even check him off the puck. Because Quick knocked him down, it affected possession. Someone take a seat. Johnny made a mistake.
Why? And there was people joking about this, and it's sort of a dark joke, but it's like, well, maybe he did have a concussion. Who does that?
Yeah, I did see that.
Why would you do that? Why?
Because, okay, this whole thing about Drew Doughty not getting a Norris until later in his career-ish because of Eastern bias.
He's still only 27, by the way.
I know. And OEL never getting considered for the Norris because of Eastern bias. And the other funny thing was the adoration of Shane Doan as a good guy. And Oilers fans are like, Flames fans have been like, we've thought he's a scumbag for over a dozen years.
Yeah, because that's how he played.
Yeah, that's what they thought. Quick is a lunatic. He's crazy. I look at his resume, every time I watch him play and I go, I don't understand. Like, that guy is fish out of water. So many of his saves look incredible because he's wildly out of position. Incredibly athletic, incredibly flexible, incredibly entertaining goalie. But he's nuts. And before he knocked Komarov down, do you see what he did? He takes his stick in both hands and he does like a fake "I'm gonna slash you in the face" thing.
Yeah, what? I don't know.
He's a nut job. He's a nut job, but he's entertaining and a 2-time Stanley Cup champion.
But man,
as well as a Conn Smythe winner.
If there was ever a team you could make a comeback against in the last 2 minutes, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs this year.
That picture?
Yeah,
Jesse's showing me the picture. He's coming out of his crease to, I don't know, do whatever with Leo Komarov.
It is a definite two-handed looking thing. He looks ominous. It's scary looking.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
Big Bear.
So why do that? I still don't understand. Like I would argue, if again, as I said, if there's a team to come back against, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Right. Oh, yes.
You cost your team that chance. Now, I'm not saying he cost them the game, but he cost them that chance.
Absolutely. You get in there, forecheck on the Leafs, put them under a bunch of pressure. Maybe it's your power play. Instead, there's 2 minutes and 5 seconds left. You take a 2-minute penalty. It's dumb. Hey, interfere with the guy a little bit. Get into his face a little bit, but shove him hard enough that he falls down. And at some point, like, I know it's a very split-second decision. Hockey's a quick sport, but you got to be like, he's in the air. Knocks him down. Whatever. I don't care. Leaf fan.
Polak and Borgman together. Big, scary.
Borgman looked good.
He did. And Polak didn't look bad.
He looked all right.
They looked kind of good together.
It was a weird game. Matt Martin, I think Myrtle tweeted that Matt Martin was like an 80% possession player in this game.
What's interesting with signing Roman Polak is one of the main reasons they did it is to take the pressure off Nikita Zaitsev.
Oh, and Ron Hainsey. Both those guys are going to explode. Someone's taking a picture of us right now. So there's a window. This is a very new experience for me. Sorry. Oh my God, you guys deal with this every day?
You could have just let that go.
No, I couldn't.
You could have just kept talking.
I'm a rook. I can't do it. What was I talking about?
Someone wants to look at me.
Oh my God, must acknowledge the person looking at me.
Hey there, adoring fan. So on the penalty kills so far this season, heading into last game, Hainsey had played something like 45 minutes. Zaitsev had played something like 45 minutes, and then the next guy was Riley at like 15. And then Gardner played like a few minutes. Borgman played a few minutes.
You mean penalty kill, right? Penalty kill?
Yes.
Yeah.
Carrick didn't play very much, and Callie Rosen played 1 second.
Wow.
on the penalty kill.
That's a oops, I was called and I'm not going on. Shoot.
Yeah, basically. Like, basically, Zaitsev and Hainsey would have exploded by Christmas. Is Babcock necessarily right to only trust 2.5 defensemen to play on the penalty kill? I don't know. But he trusts Polak on the penalty kill. Polak was available. Looked like he was healthy. Give the coach his toy, I guess. I mean, here's the thing, and I've been going to bat for Connor Carrick for a long time, and I called him the hill I'll die on. And, I mean, he's still young in his career, but has he been so incredibly good outside of, like, the first game of the season that it justifies taking away Babcock's favorite toy?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And if Polak's injury reaggravates or something like that, or he shows that he's clearly taken a step back, you always have Carrick. Put him right back in.
You have depth.
Yeah, if you really don't trust Carrick, call up Rosen. If you don't trust either, well, I don't know, call up Marinson. You have options. And if you're not satisfied with your options, make a move, I guess. Vegas has 19 guys.
Interestingly, and this is from James Myrtle, the teams, we've talked about the team defense and how tough it's been. Tough to watch, that is.
I was like, what?
But the top four haven't been all that bad. Gardner and Zaitsev have kind of performed to what we thought.
Yeah, Gardner's had a couple gaffes. Zaitsev, the gaff against Stone was like his first really big mistake of the season. I think he's been solid.
This is interesting. The team is 7th in possession on defense and 2nd in scoring chance share at even strength with their top four.
Wowzers.
Riley Hainsey, for one, are at 56.1% possession and 58.8% of their scoring chances.
They're good.
That's
Hainsey Riley pair, I think, is going to stick together for a long time.
Good pick. Good pickup. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. And you know, as long as Gardner and Zaitsev continue to be what they were last year, and Hainsey is letting Riley be Riley. Morgan Riley's looked more like Morgan Riley in the last 7 games than he did all last season, I think.
And he got fed a bad pass that led to the Trevor Lewis goal. I felt bad for him. Because he fought all of last year to be on the power play, and then he gives that one up less than 10 games in.
And also Anderson's best start of the year, I'd say.
Except for one shot.
Yeah, except for one shot.
But he made some big saves, too.
He did. It was either that or the Jets game.
Jets game is true. He did keep him in it. Now,
the record for least amount of goals allowed is still 2, by the way.
What do you mean?
for the Leafs?
For the Leafs, they've
the best
never
they've done?
allowed less than 2. They've never... or no, did someone get a shutout?
This season?
No, I don't think we got a
I thought
shutout.
someone got a shutout. Oh, well.
Who needs defense when you can score?
Yeah. Didn't McElhinney?
Hey, you're spending a lot? Well, you make a lot, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
As long as you're making a lot, it's not a problem. Now, the Montreal Canadiens, and I feel like we're going back in time talking about this, are now officially 1-6-1. This is historic. Now, hang on to what you're about to say, Steve, because I want to tell you something.
What I was about to say was, woo.
They started 1-5-2 in 2011, which I believe was PK Subban's the year they got him. Wasn't it? Or was it Gouch? No, that's the Gouch year.
Yes.
Pretty sure.
No. Yes. Yeah, 2011-12, right?
Yeah, 2012,
yes. Yeah, Gouch was drafted in 2012.
This is only the 5th time in history they've started this poorly. The other 3 times were late 1930s and a couple times in the 1940s during World War II.
Holy smokes.
Marc Bergevin, yesterday, as we all know, refused to speak to the media. Mm-hmm. Good choice or bad choice?
Good. And
Because a lot of people, your boy Eric Ingles, our boy Eric Ingles included, said that made it worse.
I disagree.
Why?
I disagree. There's someone in the sports world who did some talking yesterday and got themselves in trouble.
Who's that?
Buddy from
Eric Bledsoe?
Oh, I didn't even... Yeah, I forgot about that one. So there's 2 people.
I was at a salon with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I wrote, I don't want to be here. And then they sent me home. Those jerk Phoenix Suns. Anyway, sorry.
No, I was talking about Buddy from The Athletic, one of the co-founders there. Oh, they had a bad morning.
They had a... Yeah.
Yeah. So what could Bergevin possibly say to make the Habs having 1 win in their first, 8 or 9 games? 8. What's he going to say? He'll answer questions. What's he going to do other than get grilled and give inadequate answers for why does the defense look so bad? Why is Carey Price struggling? Why is this team that everyone said was going to struggle to score goals, struggling to score goals? When are you trading Galchenyuk?
Their goal differential, by the way, is up to 20. Minus 20.
Wow. Now,
13 goals for, 33 against.
Their possession is fairly good. That doesn't mean much, and I'm sure Score Effects has a
Are you saying that you don't believe in Corsi?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh my God, some people on Twitter are bringing that back. It's not 2013. Shut up.
By the way, Corsi matters. We know. We get it.
But
Did you see Riley's
also
quote on
other
Corsi?
stuff.
Oh, he didn't. He's like, I don't like
Jesse, can you please bring that up?
Sure.
That was because it made me laugh. It made me laugh really hard. That was the first thing I read this morning. I read it in bed. I was thinking about you, Jesse.
Also, if Montreal wants to improve, who can they trade? Because they don't have any.
Yeah, exactly.
Galcha.
So let's think of all the questions we would ask Marc Bergevin. What are you going to do to get this team out of this? What's up with Galchenyuk? How is the team going to score more goals? Are you going to trade Pacioretty? I'm sure someone in the media would ask.
Can you ask Steve the questions that are important to the Canadiens and have him answer them?
All right.
Because if we want him to talk, he's got to say something, right?
Mark-
And there's nothing he could say.
Mark, how do you account for the historically bad start the Montreal Canadiens have had this year?
I mean, we had a private investigator go to PK Subban's apartment and he has a voodoo doll
with very nice glasses, I'm sure. Very nice glasses.
And I don't know why I'm doing that. I don't even know if he has. But yeah, no, it's thank you for your question. It's Subban's fault. Next
question.
What do you have to say about the usage of Alex Galchenyuk? He's sitting on the fourth line right now. This is a team that scored 13 goals. It's a league low. How is he not better used in a different position?
I think Shea Weber's one of the best defenders in the league too. The question is, it's not is Victor Mete good? It's how good is he going to become? Next.
At this point, you're going to have to play at a pace of over 105 points for the year just to hit about 95 points. How do you think the Montreal Canadiens in their current form can do that? And do you think it's possible at all?
I mean, we could spend all day talking about all the Vezinas that Carey Price has, but why do that when we can talk about the Hardy one? I mean that's how we're going to get there. I mean, this step 1, Carey Price. Step 2, question mark. Step 3, profit. It's worked so far, and it's going to work again. Next.
Mr. Bergevin, Jesse Blake, Sportsnet 590, The Fan, Toronto.
Next. Typical Toronto scum.
That's perfect. Anyway, so you think the point is, what's he going to say?
Yeah, what is he going to say? The silence is deafening, but it's very rare in this league you talk your way out of trouble. What's he going to say?
So everybody leaves the press conference like, I feel much better.
Exactly.
Does that add 3 wins?
Yeah.
Him talking.
Exactly. This isn't a job interview. You're not going to convince you know what, I'm the right guy for this job. You can, you know what, you can talk. You can talk and you can be appealing and charismatic, but it doesn't add things to your resume.
I know every time there's a press conference, it turns around the season.
Exactly.
Sure worked for the Leafs.
Yep.
Like, what was the last press conference ever credited once with turning anything around? The last thing I can think of was Wayne Gretzky made a big speech at the Salt Lake Olympics in 2002, and people credit that was a turning point for Team Canada. And they came back and they won gold.
Sure.
It had nothing to
really
do
good team.
with Tommy Salo forgetting how to play goalie and miraculously letting Belarus beat Sweden so Canada could smoke them in the semis. And then Jerome Iginla and Joe Sakic dominated the States in the
Don't
goal.
you only have press conferences when there's something bad?
Yeah.
It's a
Normally.
bad thing.
Normally.
Like, I want to see...
Well, the Montreal Canadiens are great. That's why they didn't need one.
I want to see the Lou
There you
Lamoriello
go.
press conference. So we're 7-2. It says here to hold for applause. None of you did. Okay, that's fine. How did we do it? Step 1, all the moves I made. Step 2, I'm smart. It's related to 1, but we had to come up with a
Extrapolate.
list.
Yeah.
we had to extrapolate. 3, Austin Matthews is a Toronto Maple Leaf. 4, we were bad on purpose in order to get him. That was also me. We're at 4 and they're all me. So number 5, thank you very much. And that's the end of the what should good teams hold press
somebody
conferences?
goes, Mr. Lou, can I ask a question? Who's the GM who did such a great job assembling this team?
Should George McPhee hold a press conference because Vegas breaks a record every time they win a game?
Yes.
I think so.
That's actually true. Didn't think about
I
that.
understand being accountable, but that's a smart move by Marc Bergevin. I wish more GMs and owners in all fields would do that.
I think the best you could hope for is, well, at least he called out his players and said they needed to be better. But how many times can Marc Bergevin do that?
He knows he's next.
He's
next.
So, next question then. At what point do the Habs get desperate enough that they do something stupid and move something crazy for something crazy?
Oh, like very soon. Very soon.
Because they have to be desperate.
They're
at this
trying to
point.
get John Tavares.
They are?
I think so. They were supposedly in Long Island. That doesn't necessarily...
that changes the whole thing.
The Islanders also have a surplus of defenders. I don't know. How there's no scenario I could see the Habs getting Tavares without giving up Drouin. Like, can you imagine?
No.
And he did just donate money to the Montreal Canadiens.
yeah. He's
Kids
on his
Hospital. He's gone now. No, but
Can you imagine?
Okay,
Here's
if it's February and they're in last place, do you trade Carey Price?
who's
No.
going to take them?
That was what we talked about, like morons in the summer, was you could get the biggest haul for anyone ever at the trade deadline in exchange for Carey Price. No, they're not trading Carey Price.
Why not?
To who?
Well,
For
I mean,
what?
listen,
Who isn't he an improvement over for any team?
the
Nobody
one
right
thing
now,
the
but,
thing
I
that
mean-
is that would be
I mean, long
onerous is the $10 million he's owed for the next forever next year.
Yeah, like if you're a cup contender,
$10 million.
like you're ripping out parts of it. You know who can afford it? You know who wouldn't have to move that much to get a $10 million player under their cap is Montreal.
Montreal. That's true.
Like I never thought we'd see a team mismanage their cap so badly that they'd have too much cap room.
Yeah, good point.
Now, if Bergevin, now you got to think he's just holding on for dear life. Because if he can just hold on throughout this year and the Habs sort of,
Oh my God, there's no way
just
he holds
get it
on.
back
There's no
on
way.
track a little bit and become a middle of the pack team. They don't even necessarily have to make the playoffs, but if he can just get this truck back on the road, he can sign a bunch of players this summer if
Yes,
he
he
wants.
Yeah.
And try to sign
However,
his way back into a.
some of that money is going to Carey Price. About what is it? Carey Price makes $6 million now.
$4 million, yeah.
So $6 million of the $9 million that he currently
Something like
has.
that, or 3.5, yeah.
But then who else is coming off the books?
Who knows?
You know?
there's a lot of fat to trim.
Anyway, Jonathan Drouin too. They're now saying in Montreal, and I thought you'd find this
Sergachev will
interesting.
be ready to make the jump, I'm sure.
Oh,
No.
Something they're saying in Montreal now is that when Jonathan Drouin plays on the wing, he looks better. And we said this.
Oh, no, who said that?
It was on Sportsnet this morning.
Oh, I haven't watched enough
at
of
the
them.
end of the season, you're losing $6 million in mediocre Thomas Polak.
Oh, that's huge.
That's a big
So-
drop.
That's huge.
Yeah.
But
There's
you're
your Carey
also
Price money.
You're also losing a center, and you don't have very many.
That's true.
Oh my goodness! They gotta sign their way out of trouble. That's why, the move to make this summer, if you're Montreal, is just fire a Brinks truck at John Tavares. If you're the Islanders, you got to be sweating because it's very obvious that it's like when the Miami Heat were just dumping all the money in the world so that they could sign 3 of the best players in the world. We haven't really seen that in hockey. Like we see tanking and all that, but like the Habs' only move right now is that, isn't it?
I think
They don't have assets to acquire more, so they got to sign their way out of this issue.
financially, for the Islanders, it's also a good move because they're sort of middle of the pack. Financially, it's a good move, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
They still have that deal with the Brooklyn arena that they're in, where they get paid this much money. I think it's $50-something million.
No matter what.
No matter what. No matter how many tickets they sell. So why not be bad?
Imagine if,
Why not
oh
be
my
that?
God, imagine if Bergevin gets this thing back on the road, survives this season, signs Tavares, wins draft lottery, gets Rasmus Dahlin.
Oh, man.
You got your center, you got your D-man, Pacioretty's on the wing, Shea Weber's still put together,
You
you
have
got
Drouin?
Price in net,
Drouin's on the way.
Drouin, let's go! And all of a sudden, you're right back into contending.
Montreal could be good next year.
It could be.
That's
There's a lot of stuff that has to happen first.
2 things.
Yeah, no.
2 things.
I don't think a lot of things have to happen.
2 relatively possible things.
They just gotta not fuck this up.
So basically,
Yeah.
what Mark Bergevin needs to take into every meeting with Jeff Molson from now on is
I'm
a
signing
recording of what
Tavares.
you just said.
Yep.
This is but Jeff, hold on.
There's a plan.
We are 2 minor
Look at
moves
this.
away.
We're going to fix the Habs right now. Thomas McCannis, their highest paid forward, by the way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, $6 million off the books. Torrey Mitchell, 1.2. Alish Hemsky, there's $1 million. Get rid of that. Who are their RFAs? Philippe Deneau, they'll have to resign. Michael McCarron, they'll have to resign. Jacob Delarose, they may resign. None of them will be expensive. On the back end, Brandon Davidson, that's not going to be expensive. Joe Morrow, whatever. Al Montoya is still signed. That's a very good contract for a very good backup goalie. IMO, IMHO. Man. I think they're going to do it. They're going to try and go out and get John Tavares. Where's the cap hit? Let me see. Yeah, they're going to have right now, heading into next season, they could have as much as $14 million in cap space. They're gonna offer John Tavares at least $10 million.
11. They're
gonna get a top 4 pick.
If they continue to stink.
It's so funny. It's so funny the way this works because, like, you look at Craig McTavish. Craig McTavish was the Oilers GM when they won the draft lottery for Connor McDavid.
and then
they kicked him out. The exact same thing could happen to Bergevin.
Oh, no, it's so mean.
You know what's going to be so funny?
I feel bad for Craig McTavish because, like, they've, like, relegated him just as the Oilers turned the corner.
I know. Well, and supposedly, I think he's still with the organization, but what's going to be so hilarious is next season when the Habs are good, and whoever the new GM is given credit for the 2 moves that happened, one of which wasn't even... He won the lottery!
Man. And the only reason they're in this position is because they screwed up and have too much cap room.
It's hilarious.
They didn't plan for this.
It's hilarious. Oh, Bergevin is going to be Dale Talon. A little bit.
Peter Horchak.
You know who really built this? Was Dale Talon.
Brian Murray in Anaheim. Now... I want to talk about the Rangers because they are also as bad. I have a cool stat here. I know what time it is. I know.
Okay.
Adam Herman, who is a Rangers reporter who works for Blue Shirt Banner, said that the Rangers need to play at a 102.5 point pace for the rest of the season just to hit 96 points.
It really is amazing how quickly you can take yourself out of it, eh?
Yeah. You can't get a playoff spot in October, but boy, you can play yourself right out of one.
Can you bring up the Rangers?
Now, I'm not saying that's not possible because Henrik Lundqvist is their goalie and they were a good team last year. But it sure makes it tough, doesn't it?
A little bit. Well, and they had like a surprising amount of turnover this offseason because they did that big Derek Stepan trade. Mm-hmm. Ranta was involved in there. Wowzers, do they have a lot of free agents that I did not realize. Rick Nash, if you're the Rangers, you could get a decent haul for him at the deadline, although 7.8 you're going to have to retain.
Well, it doesn't matter, though. How many he's done after this year, right? His contract's done.
Right. No. So I'm just saying, but
retain as much as you can.
Even to fit 7.8. JT Miller's an RFA, Kevin Hayes RFA, Grabner's UFA, Desharnais UFA, Holden's UFA. You know what, though? I think the biggest mistake the Rangers made was they got rid of Dan Girardi. That was the biggest
People
mistake.
have talked about that, and I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, well, he's playing top pairing minutes in Tampa.
I'm looking at the roster and trying to figure out why they're that bad.
So what I was looking at, or what I've heard, is that it's Henrik Lundqvist just hasn't been as sharp as Henrik Lundqvist normally has been.
I've only seen the one game where they allowed 8 goals.
Well, so it goes back to how he plays. He plays a little deeper in the crease because it gives him that extra split second to figure out where the puck's going. Mm-hmm. But he's 35, and maybe his reflexes aren't the same because you need quick reflexes to do that, right?
My goodness, almost a year ago to the day, we were having this exact conversation.
And then Antti Ranta and him brought it back together. Before we get to the press conference, which we quickly need to do, Zach Parise looks like he's going to be out 8 to 10 weeks with back surgery, which sucks.
And also, who was it? There was someone else who's out 4 to 6. Oh, Troy Stetcher in Vancouver.
Right.
So this is the crazy thing about the Leafs. Again, JVR looks like he frigs up his knee. Josh Levo can finally...
Most Canadian thing you've ever said. Frigs up his knee.
Frigs up his knee. He's just yard sales his knee. And Josh Levo gets ready to blow the dust off all his equipment, and JVR stays in there. All these teams are starting to lose players. The Leafs still know.
Bring up Florida on your cap friendly. I want to mention Florida just a second from now, but Leon Draisaitl looks to be back for the Oilers, which is a huge, huge gain for them because, they've had a bit of a rough start too. Mm-hmm. Florida Panthers claimed Antti Niemi off waivers which means that I think it's Roberto Luongo that's injured, right?
Yes. Yeah. Reimer's been doing good.
I want to throw this out there. I'm looking at goals against. Do you know the team in the Eastern Conference with the top goals against, as in they've had the most goals scored against them?
I assume the Leafs.
The Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh, well, they got filled in twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost 10-1 to Chicago and 7-1 to someone.
Yeah, I think that evens out.
39 goals against.
Yeah.
Holy moly!
Now, two 10-goal games will do that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, that's kind of crazy considering that they're fifth in the
We're
conference.
still at that. We're at that part of the season
Where it's- yeah.
You know what? For preseason scoring, the Habs were probably pretty middle of the pack because they had that 1 9-goal game.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to throw something else out here. And this just broke, so I looked on Twitter and I found it, and I want to thank...
How much longer do we have in the show?
Just let me do this,
Dude,
okay?
I'm not going to make it. I got a piece of it.
Okay. You're gonna want this. You're gonna want this, all right?
Okay. Yes, let's do it.
Tyler Dello tweeted this out. There is a Finnish physiotherapist, he used to live in LA, who strangled Sean Avery in the LA Kings locker room.
Oh, good.
Do you know this story?
It's from Sean Avery's new book, I believe.
Is it from Avery's new book or for the physiotherapist's new book?
I think this one's from the physiotherapist.
I think
There's
it's
a
from the
bunch of
physiotherapist.
Avery stories that have been coming out recently because of his book.
Yeah.
But I don't think he told this
So
story.
apparently
okay.
this guy had a Taekwondo background, and Avery started to poke at him. And he said, come on, like, don't. And Avery said, oh, try and stop me. And the guy's like, please don't touch me. And Avery's like, what are you going to do? And he said, basically, when Avery tried to attack him, he started strangling Avery. He kept doing it until Avery just about lost consciousness. Then he let him go. He resuscitated enough and crawled out of the room. The practice room started to celebrate like it was an OT goal. Bully had finally been beaten. Every person in the dressing room came up and high-fived him because nobody liked Avery. The next day, Avery arrived at practice and said, "You fucking ninja," and then walked away and never teased me again.
You know what? I want to read his book. Mm-hmm. I want
Sean Avery's book?
Yes.
I've only heard good things.
I would like to know about Sean Avery's opinion about Sean Avery.
He apologized to Funuf in it and Miss Cuthbert.
Does he? Because weren't we talking about the picture that he included in there?
I didn't see
No,
that.
he apologizes, which is fair.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he should. It was all his fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, good on him for owning the thing that was his fault, I guess. I mean, that's what apologizing's for. Yeah. No, like, I will take it with a grain of salt because, yeah, it's like the World War I stuff. It's Winston Churchill's opinion of all the right things Winston Churchill did. So I will take it with a grain of salt, but it seems like it's full of entertaining stories.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting one.
Just compared Sean Avery to Winston Churchill.
I'm sure Sean would say, yeah, legitimate comparison.
Yeah, pretty close.
right.
I mean, I would shoot higher, but
So we'll skip the press conference today. I know Steve's got to pee and then we got to go, but
skip it because I have
One question.
Yeah.
all right.
yeah.
But hold on, Steve. Please do the press conference thing that you don't have to do.
Because there's not a noise. I never know if I put it in before or after you do that.
Whatever makes him look
During.
worse.
Yeah.
However awkward it seems.
Put it over what I'm saying right now. Put it over what I'm saying.
All right, this
Press
is where it's
conference.
play. Perfect. King Lochner, 16, wants to know why there isn't any criticism towards Leo Komarov. He hasn't done anything offensively this season.
But he scored 18 goals a couple years ago and was an all-star.
And also, he scored 18 goals a couple years ago. So, because is goal scoring the problem?
That's not what he does. And that's not...
Yeah.
If Leo Komarov, which he was a couple years ago, is scoring a lot of goals for you, you got a problem. And the Leafs had a problem a couple years ago, which is they had no
Working
talent.
hard, being an agitator. He's a great penalty killer. He kind of shut the game down for the Leafs last night in that he pissed off quick enough that he made him do something crazy and he took a penalty. Maybe the reason you're asking that question is you're looking for a way to get Mitch Marner higher in the lineup. Right now, I just don't think it's what the team needs. They're 7-2. They're scoring plenty of goals. Marner had a 2-assist game. The Leafs won the damn thing. Hooray.
If
It's
Leo
all gravy.
Komarov gets 0 points in a season, as long as the metrics show that he is, as long as the team penalty kill when he's on the ice is great, and the 5-on-5 shows that he's still one of the best defensive players in the National Hockey League, he's worth every penny. You don't need Leo Komarov to score points, although he will. You need Leo Komarov for defensive purposes. That's what he does.
The one Leaf on a cold streak.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, he doesn't have an obnoxious amount of points, but the rest of the team does.
Like when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, now that you mention it, yeah, I guess he hasn't really scored much, but like on this team, who cares? He's fine.
Has Leo Komarov hit a wall?
If Leo Komarov has hit a wall named Jonathan, and the wall got 2 minutes for being crazy. Yeah, like here's how spoiled we are as Leaf fans. Last night I like actually said to myself, I'm like, Matthews didn't score. Like, and it was weird.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I expect he scores in like half of the games he plays. I mean, the offense is not the problem here, guys.
All right, well, with that, we're going to let it go. Thursday, we'll be back, and still in our brand new Sportsnet 590 studios. I hope you at least check us out. If you've never checked us out on YouTube, just check it out now. Because, boy, this is the nicest, brightest looking studio we've ever been in.
It's shiny.
We finally bought our own lighting rig, which we're excited about. I know it sounds really stupid, but I'm very excited about lighting rigs. And,
looks great.
And we've got actual sports fans on the wall.
Yeah, what else do we have, Adam, before my freaking kidneys fail?
That's it.
Okay, cool.
See you to Thursday.
Yep, okay, bye.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.